Hey, what's going on, my fellow idiots? Welcome back to another episode of Idiot Proof Cooking. Hey, Rose, can you say hi to the fellow idiots?
Hi.
So anyways, me and her here are going to do a bit of baking today. I mean, she'll just get her little hands in there. But anyways, I felt like doing some baking today, and I wanted to get a little experimental. Now, I knew I wanted to make a cake, and I figured, hey, I'll use my bundt pan. I just bought it a few weeks ago. Might as well get some use out of it. So I settled on making a peach walnut and whiskey cake, and man, was I surprised at how well it turned out. So let's stop beating around the bush here in the intro and let's get into making this. Rose, say goodbye to the fellow idiots.
Bye.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to tackle in this peach, walnut, and whiskey cake is the actual peaches. So what I have here is 5 decently sized peaches, and I'm going to cut them up. But before I do that, I am going to peel them all. After all, you don't want any of that fuzzy peach skin in your cake, right? It's like eating velvet, if you would. And I hate the consistency of the peach fuzz. It's awful. So skin your peaches. And then all we're going to do is cut up all 5 peaches into small little cubes, much like I'm doing here. So cut up your first one, throw it into a separate bowl just to keep them all separated, but you should have a fairly large bowl of diced up peaches after you cut up all 5 of them, just like I have here. Now set that aside and get yourself another mixing bowl, because we're going to start dealing with some dry ingredients. Starting off with 3 cups of all-purpose flour. Into the mixing bowl it goes. Then we're going to add in 3 teaspoons of baking powder, and then I'm going to add in a tablespoon of cinnamon. Next up is a pinch of kosher salt, I'd say a half teaspoon of it, and then we're going to whisk this all together with our trusty whisk just until it's combined, and then we're going to set this bowl aside too and get out a third bowl. Lots of dishes when I bake sometimes. So there we go, we got another bowl, and into it we're going to add 1.5 cups of brown sugar. Make sure to break up any clumps. Sometimes brown sugar clumps up on you after all. And then we're going to get 3 large eggs, let them sit at room temperature for 30-40 minutes, and we're going to crack all 3 of them into our brown sugar, much like this. Then again, get your trusty whisk and mix this all together until the sugar and eggs are fully incorporated. Just whisk it together for 1 to 2 minutes, and hold on one moment. You know what? Let's make it 4 eggs. I think 4 is better than 3 here. I think we needed that 4th egg. So change that. 4 eggs, whisk them in with your brown sugar until they're thoroughly combined. You know what? This is experimentation baking day, so we're kind of winging it here. But anyways, after you've added that 4th egg in, pour in a 1/4 cup of melted unsalted butter, and then a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. And then, similar to the previous steps, just use your trusty whisk to whisk this all together until it's combined. And then it's time to start adding in some serious flavor here with some bourbon. This is the whiskey in the peach, walnut, and whiskey cake. So I'm going to use a 1/4 cup of bourbon. I'm choosing to use bourbon because it has a sweeter, spicier taste of all the whiskeys. I mean, hey, if you want to use like an Irish whiskey, I'm sure that would taste good. Maybe not Scotch or like rye, but bourbon and maybe Irish whiskey would taste good, but I'm using bourbon. So anyways, after you've whisked the bourbon in, it's time to add all of your dry ingredients and, spill some on yourself, but pour the dry ingredients into your wet ingredients, and then just keep mixing them all together. Oh, spill it again. Man, I'm having a tough time with the dry ingredients today. Keep whisking them all together until they're thoroughly combined. And you know what? It may be time to abandon the whisk, because it's really not the best tool to mix a thickening batter. So consider pulling out a spatula instead and continue mixing that way. But regardless of however you mix it, after it is mixed, we're going to then add in a cup of room temperature sour cream to give the cake a nice moist consistency. So pour it into your bowl with everything else and then mix it thoroughly in. I love using sour cream in my cakes and generally in baking. It just gives cakes such a nice moist consistency. Anyways, once the sour cream is in, it's time to add in all of your peaches and a cup of crushed up walnuts, and then just similar to every step so far in making this cake batter, mix them in with your spatula until they're thoroughly incorporated. Let's set the batter aside for a moment and pull out our bundt pan because it's time to start baking. So spray down your bundt pan with some cooking spray, and then it's time to just start scooping your peachy, whiskey-y, walnutty batter into the bundt pan. So I'm just going to keep scooping it in here carefully. You don't want to spill any. And then once it's all in, then just use your spatula to smooth it all out very carefully. Look at that. Look at that. Minimal spills this time. I am improving on putting batter into cake pans. So anyways, it's time to bake this cake. So let's preheat our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and bake it for 60 to 70 minutes until it comes out nice and golden brown and puffy and risen, looking like this. Oh man, does this smell good. So you know what? Let's just make sure that it's cooked all the way through. Get yourself a wooden skewer, stick it into the cake, and if it comes out clean, that means the cake is cooked all the way through. Perfect, perfect. Now we do have to let this cool down, unfortunately, for about an hour, hour and a half, and then after it has cooled down, just get out a plate and put it on top of your bundt pan, flip the bundt pan over, and voila, you've got yourself a cake. Look at that, and you can still see a little bit of steam coming off of it. It stayed warm in the bundt pan. Look at this thing, man. I'm excited to try this. I guess we're going to find out soon if peach, walnut, and whiskey go together. But you know what? We better glaze this thing. I think obviously adding some glaze is just going to make it way better. So get yourself a mixing bowl out and pour into it 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. And then I'm going to mix it up a little bit and throw in a teaspoon of maple extract instead of vanilla extract. I always use vanilla. So let's try some maple extract. And then I'm going to add in a dash of whole milk. And I'm just going to whisk this all together until it forms a glaze. Now, I didn't put much milk in, maybe like 2 or 3 tablespoons. I wanted the glaze to be really thick and almost like a glue-like consistency, as you can see here. You can throw in more milk if you want it more runny, or less if you want it really thick. I was looking for a more thicker glaze because I think that's just going to be nice on this cake. Look at that. So you know what? Let's go in and start glazing this cake. And oh man, I'm starting to get excited to try this. It's just looking so beautiful. It smells amazing. The glaze looks perfect on it, and the glaze has almost like an amber color to it because of the maple extract, and it smells amazing. Like there is just so many amazing rich smells coming off this. So I think I've glazed this to my satisfaction, and here's a quick close-up shot for it. I'm thoroughly excited by this. I think this turned out awesome. So let's go in and cut ourselves a piece here. I'm going to cut myself a fairly thick piece here. Why not? And let's get it out. And there you go. You can see the inside of it. It's nice and dense and cakey, and it's still warm on the inside despite cooling down. That's crazy. All right, let's get in and taste test this. I am excited. It looks nice and cakey, and there's tons of peach on the inside of it. And here we go. First bite. Let's see what it tastes like. And wow, that is good. That is good. The bourbon in it gives it a really sweet and spicy taste. I like that. And the peaches are nice. It's a nice contrast. The walnuts in there are quite cool too because like they're crunchy, and you know, it gives it a little bit of a nutty taste too. And then obviously the glaze is amazing too. So you know what? Let's get Meg in here. Now, she wasn't around when I was voicing over this episode, but I can say without a doubt her and Rose absolutely love this cake. They gobbled up a literal ton of it in a short amount of time. So you know what, Meg, let's get you out of the camera here. Come on, I gotta wrap this video up. Come on. Oh, and of course she steals the rest of the piece of the cake. Nice. Well guys, let's call it there. That was a lot of fun to make. I really liked how this turned out. So I hope you did too. And if you did, why don't you drop me a comment, like the video, or even subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for watching A Deep Proof Cooking, and we'll see you again soon.